Ooh, does this matter that this is, here we go.
Oh, good.
Here, let me just do this. How's that? Okay.
Ready. All right. Coach, good win to start conference play, especially considering 18 days without a game. Can you just talk about what you saw from the team tonight?
It just feels good to play. I think they feel good that they got out there. I heard Kayla saying, like, you can't emulate game speed in practice. It's really hard to do that. As much as you try to scrimmage, it's not the same. So just getting out there against an opponent that's tough, that they play hard, they play physical, and we kind of knew that going into it, and that we just started out a little slower than we wanted to start out. But then gradually as the game went on, we started to get in sync a little bit better. And we're missing 2 starters basically. So that hurts as well when you're trying to get into the flow after an 18-day hiatus. So I was happy that we won every quarter. That was one of the things that we as a staff were talking about. We should be able to win each quarter. And the fact that like the 2 leading scorers showed up when you needed them to show up in a game where you're struggling a little bit on the offensive end, it was nice to kind of see that. I would say overall the thing I'm most disappointed in is our free throw percentage and putting them on the line too many times, that we need to stop fouling, but that's partly due to the fact that you just haven't played and your feet aren't moving quite the same.
And, talking about, the postponement again, what was, coming off those 3 games postponed, what was the game plan coming into tonight? How did the team prepare? And how did you prepare the team?
Well, we talked a lot in the locker room before the game about focusing on ourselves and what we needed to get better at. We talked a lot about defensive cues, verbal cues, just making sure that we're communicating to each other. So that was a big thing for us. I think pushing in transition, we talked about pushing a lot. We need to run, and I think that's really what started our ascent, so to speak, in the first half. Was we got a couple transition baskets, and then we kind of got into the flow a little bit. So we talked about that, and then really just focusing on the things that we're weak at. I'm not going to share those things, but we talked about those things. And did we accomplish them? No, not all of them. Some were better than others, but we still are a work in progress, as we know, and it's kind of hard to think that you're going to come into this game and do everything really well, right? Especially since you haven't played. So that was kind of our focus, and then obviously rebounding is always a focus for us. And going into BU Saturday is gonna be tough. Yep.
And you kind of mentioned it, but the team started out a little slow
tonight.
But you had that run at the end of the first and early in the second. So what did you see that kind of kick-started that and really turned things on?
The transition. I think it was transition steals, getting stops, getting layups. We kind of talked, I think it was in the second quarter or second half, like we don't really need to shoot the 3. We can get layups and we can get drives to the rim, focus more on that. So we did a pretty good job of passing. I think the assist-to-turnover ratio is where I would want it to be. Not just for one game. Hopefully that lasts for a little longer, but that's really nice to see that we can share the basketball. And as good a scorer Jade is, she's such a good passer, and I love that about her game. And really watching Kayla attack the basket today was really nice to see, because that's what I've seen in practice, but you never know if that's going to show up. And to see her play as well as she did in practice was really fun for me.
And talk about the passing a little bit more. How important is that for the team moving forward for the rest of the conference?
It's so important with how we run our offense, but at the same time, we also do a dribble kind of drive attack offense, and we need to get a little bit better at that too, to be able to break people down. So it depends on how people play us as to whether or not you're going to get assists too. So I think that plays into it. But we're such a good passing team. Sometimes we overpass, sometimes we pass to people out of bounds. We're just real unselfish. But yeah, it's just, we'll get there. We have too many upperclassmen not to have a positive assist-to-turnover ratio, and that was frustrating for me in the non-conference, and that needs to change.
And I know you said, not having to focus on the 3 all the time is important, but Jade hit a big one, I think, to start the second
And she's
half.
So capable.
Yeah, so, how have you seen her grow in terms of confidence as a shooter?
I think she knows it's there. She knows that's what teams are going to give her, and it's just picking and choosing the right one and not thinking twice about it. Just take it in stride and rhythm. She's a very capable 3-point shooter. Just hasn't shown up this year, but I know she can shoot it, and I'm confident when she takes it.
Jade has already moved on to the next game, which was great to see. And as a senior, you're sort of hoping that you're okay.
You're hoping that you play.
Yes. Right. And she just, they're big. mean, that's the type of thing. So like right now, she's with Kayla, she's talking to others that are in the locker room, like, hey, we know what we have to do tomorrow in practice.
Yeah.
Is that going to be a focus too? Is that because of their
Rebounding is going to be a focus. I think we got embarrassed at their place last year in the semifinal game. I think that's still in the back of their minds, that we know that going up there is not easy to play on their home floor. I will say this year's team has been a pretty good road team, which hasn't always been the case for us. So I'm hoping that we play a little bit better up there. But yeah, I think rebounding, really locking down defensively, taking away transition for them, taking away tendencies and things like that, we need to get better at. I don't think we did a great job of that today, the tendency piece. And that, maybe just because we haven't played, but their focus needs to be there. And I know if we can test negative and go up there that they'll be ready. All right, thank you.